Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Let's Start Story on What If Naruto went digital adventure and fell love with Ruki movie. So do 4 blue hearts comment. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video, and please share with your friends and watch till end. Also check out Patreon for I have upload Naruto X Rias and Akino uncensored spicy version, link in description. Battle, destruction, conflict. These are normal things for the shinobi world. Since the beginning of time there has been war between ninjas from all nations. None more no WN than the rivalry between the reincarnations of Ashura and Indra. The first rivalry was between Ashura and Indra themselves. Next came Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. And finally, we have the most recent reincarnations in the form of 2 young shinobi, Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha. They have been longtime friends and rivals. Now they stood, facing each other in the Valley of the End one final time. Both were battered and blooded and their clothes were in ruins. The valley was demolished from the massive attacks that both boys threw at each other. They were low on stamina and chakra. This final attack would decide the victor. Looks like you could use a breather there, Tem. Naruto shouted across the river. Ha, you wish, Dobi. I'm just getting warmed up. You're the one that seems like he needs a break. Sasuke shouted with a smirk. Oi Naruto. You need to draw out the power that Gramps left for you too and finish this now. Kurama stated from within Naruto's mind. I know Kurama, I'm working on it. Naruto replied back as he started forming a Rasengan and pumping the Yang chakra into it. Let's finish this, Sasuke. Here and now with one final attack. I couldn't agree more. Sasuke replies, channeling Yin chakra into the Chidori. They stare each other down for a few moments before jumping at each other with their attacks in front of them. Sasuke, Naruto, Rasengan, Chidori. The attacks collide in midair as they push to gain the upper hand. At first, they were both evenly matched. However, Naruto started to pump what little bit of Kurama's chakra he could manage in to the attack and began to gain the upper hand. Naruto slowly began to push back Sasuke's Chidori. Unbeknown to the 2 ninja, the mix between the yin and yang chakra caused a dimensional hole to rip open above them. How can this be? How are you stronger than me? Sasuke asked in disbelief as he was being pushed back. It's because I have people to fight for and protect. I fight for them, not for my own needs. This ends now, Sasuke. Naruto yelled as he pushed forward with all he had left. Naruto's Rasengan pushed back the Chidori and sent Sasuke flying face first into the ground unconscious. Naruto dropped to his hands and knees with a smile on his face. His victory was short-lived as the dimensional hole started sucking in everything around him as he looked up and saw the black void. What the hell is that? Naruto asked out loud. It seems that when you and Sasuke collided with your attacks, the yin and yang chakra must have torn open some type of dimensional hole. Kurama explained. Naruto tried his best to stick to the ground using what little chakra he could muster up. His chakra quickly depleted as the void sucked him into the unknown, leaving a ruined valley and one unconscious ninja. Unknown place. In the middle of a large, dark room sat a massive gold dragon. His large crimson eyes snapped open as he felt a strong presence enter into the digital world. Shakoman, shouted the large dragon. A split second later, a large silver creature was kneeling in front of the dragon. This creature had an expressionless face and had wings on his back that glowed silver. You called Fanglongmon Sama, spoke Shakoman. I have sensed a powerful energy signal enter the digital world. It is unlike any Digimon I have ever sensed before. I want you to go and see if you can find this energy source and report back. Go now, ordered the giant dragon. Hi sir, Shakoman replied and then was gone. With Naruto. Naruto was falling through the air and the ground was closing in fast. Digging deep within himself, he gathered chakra and summoned about 200 clones to try and cushion his fall. The clones helped some, but he still hit the ground hard enough to make a small crater. He lied there for a few minutes trying to regain some of his strength. He finally managed to pull himself out of the crater and take in his surroundings. His eyes went wide in shock as he saw all kinds of creatures in the distance. He saw flying dragons and giant lizards and all kinds of different creatures just roaming around. Where are we? Naruto thought. I don't know for sure, kid, but you should stay on guard. I have never seen animals like these before. Maybe you should try and find some other humans. Kurama stated. Naruto just nodded to himself as he began to head off in some random direction. Little did he know that he was being followed from above by a large silver creature. 2 hours later. Naruto had only been walking for a couple hours, but it had felt like more walking through this desert. He had yet to come across any other human. He was starting to lose hope at ever seeing anyone again. He was brought out of his hopelessness when he heard an explosion. He made his way towards the sound and saw a large blue dinosaur attacking a small village. He saw a bunch of little floating heads moving throughout the village trying to keep from being attacked. The little sea Reachers were red with red spikes around their head body and had a small flame at the top. Naruto watched as the dinosaur went to attack one of the smaller creatures. Naruto focused chakra into his GS and dashed forward and grabbed the creature before it was destroyed by the bigger animal. You shouldn't pick on someone smaller than you, Naruto said as he glared at the large dinosaur. I am Alloman, one of the strongest Digimon around, and you dare to speak to me like that, human. Alloman roared. I don't care who you are. You are acting like a bully and I really hate bullies. So how about I just kick your ass and be done with it? Naruto replied with a smirk. Don't do it. He is stronger than he looks. Came the voice of the little creature in Naruto's arms. Don't worry about it, little guy. I am a lot stronger than I look too, Naruto said as he sat him down and turned to face the dinosaur. Naruto dashed forward and jumped through the air, landing a hard punch into Alloman's gut, sending the dragon stumbling backwards. Naruto followed the punch up with a roundhouse kick to the dinosaur's jaw, sending him flying and landing with a loud thud. Alloman got back to his feet and shout. Dino burst, as a large flame is sent towards the blonde. Naruto easily avoided the attack and once again rushed towards Alloman. Naruto jumped towards the dinosaur's gut and landed a kick, pushing Alloman back. But as Alloman stumbled backwards, his tail wrapped around Naruto and started to squeeze him. Naruto worked on breaking free, but the tail was stronger than Naruto had thought. Sunman was watching the fight where Naruto had put him down. He saw the life being squeezed out of the human and decided to repay him for helping him out earlier. Sunman flew towards Alloman and head-butted the dinosaur right in the chin. The attack didn't really bother him, but it did surprise him enough to where he let go of the blonde human. Thanks, little guy, Naruto said as he took in a couple large breaths of air. The name is Sunman, replied the little floating head. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Now excuse me as I finish off this lizard, Naruto replied, making a clone. Naruto and his clone rushed forwards, gathering chakra between their hands. A large blue orb of chakra appeared and began to grow to a very large size. As the two Narutos got closer, they jumped through the air shouting, Odama Rasengan, ND planted the jutsu into the dinosaur's stomach. After a few seconds, the Alloman exploded into little red flakes and disappeared. Everyone was surprised at what they had just witnessed. A human had just taken down an Alloman with his bare hands. Even Shakoman was surprised at what he had just witnessed. He snapped out of his surprise and decided to make himself known by clearing his throat. Village of Sunman turned to see Shakoman and bowed to the best of their abilities. The Sunman with Naruto was the first to speak. Shakoman-sama, what can we do to be of service? Asked Sunman. I was sent here by Fanglongmon-sama to investigate a powerful energy he felt enter the digital world. I believe that I have found said power source. If you would please come with me, young human. Shakoman said. How do I know I can trust you? I don't even know where I am or what is going on. Naruto replied. Naruto, Fanglongmon-sama is the god of the digital world. Shakoman-sama here is one of his personal servants. It would be best to do as he asks. Sunman said from his bowing position. I will come with you under one condition. I want my new friend here to come with me as well. Naruto said, motioning to Sunman. Very well, young human, Shakoman said as he picked up Naruto and Sunman, then disappeared in a flash of light. Fanglongmon's domain. Shakoman, Naruto, and Sunman appeared in a large dark room. Naruto and Sunman looked around and noticed 6 pairs of eyes staring back at them. There was a loud clap and suddenly the room filled with light, revealing a 2-headed turtle, a large tiger, a large phoenix-looking bird, a large blue dragon, and an even larger gold dragon. Welcome to my domain, young ones. There is no reason to be afraid, I merely wish to speak with you. I am Fanglongmon, god of the digital world. These are the Digimon sovereigns, they guard and protect one of the 4 quadrants of the Digi world. I am sure you have questions to be answered, but in order for me to answer your questions, I need some answers first. Step forward and I will read your memories and then answer questions you may have. Explained the god of the Digi world. Naruto was he. Hesitant at first but slowly stepped forward. Fanglongmon placed the tip of his claw to Naruto's forehead and instantly saw all of Naruto's memories. From the academy days, to his genin days, as well as fighting pain. The 4th ninja war and his final battle with Sasuke. I am quite impressed you have survived after going through so much. Now I will answer any question you have to the best of my ability. Said the Digi God. Is there any way for me to return to my world? Naruto asked. I am afraid not, young Naruto. The reason the dimensional hole opened the first time was because of the mix bet. Ween your yang and your friend's yin chakra. No one here including myself can replicate that. I am sorry but I'm afraid you can't go back to your home world. But I do have a proposition for you. The God added the last part after seeing Naruto's saddened look. And what exactly would this proposition be? Naruto asked with a bit of an edge to his voice. You will talk to Fanglongmon-sama with respect, you little Gaki. Shouted the large phoenix. Naruto and the phoenix glared at each other, neither one giving a bit. Fanglongmon finally decided to speak. That is enough, Zuchouman. He just found OU. He won't be able to see the ones he cares for or all that he has ever known. Naruto, I offer you the chance to have a life in the human world of this dimension. Asked Fanglongmon. It sound good and all, but what is the catch? Naruto asked. All I ask is that you become a tamer. A tamer is a human who partners up with a Digimon in order for them to digivolve. Digivolve means for a Digimon to see, change its shape and form and also increase their power. You and your partner will fight side by side if you wish to take this offer. There is an evil rising and it will be a threat to the digital world. I'm not sure if the tamers can handle it by themselves. The Digi God explained. Who would my partner be? Asked Naruto. That is for you to decide, young one. Fanglongmon said. Well now, who should I choose? Asked Naruto. Sunman was a little saddened at this. He always wanted to be able to cross over into the human world. He saw the chance when Fanglongmon asked Naruto to be a tamer, but now seeing Naruto have to think about it, he was sure he wouldn't get the chance. Naruto saw this and couldn't help but chuckle. What's wrong, Sunman? Naruto asked. I was hoping to go with you but you seem unsure of who you want for a partner. Explained Sunman. I was joking, Sunman. You helped me get free when that Aloman had me in his tail. I wouldn't have anyone else as my partner. Naruto replied. With that said, a bright light surrounded Sunman. After a few minutes the light died down to show a bipedal, red-furred lion. It had a wristband on each wrist and some type of headpiece that looked like the wristbands. Sunman. Asked Naruto. It's Coronamon now, Naruto. I was able to digivolve thanks to you. Replied Coronamon. A light suddenly appeared on Naruto's side. After it left, it revealed a card case and some type of device. The device was white with a bright red ring around the screen with 2 red buttons below the screen. Naruto and the newly digivolved Coronamon appeared in a small apartment. Naruto and Coronamon looked around their new home here in the human world. It was a 1-bedroom apartment just big enough for the 2 of them to live in. It had a furnished kitchen complete with a stove, refrigerator, and a table to sit at to eat. There was a small TV in the living room area with a couch and a recliner. They walked into the bedroom and found a bunk bed and AD dresser for Naruto's clothes he got here in this new world. Walking back into the kitchen, Naruto noticed an envelope on the counter he hadn't noticed before. He opened the envelope and pulled out a letter and a key. He unfolded the letter and began to read its contents. Young Naruto, I hope you and Coronamon made it to your new home without any complications. It has been quite some time since I last transported someone anywhere. And with the distance between the digital world and the human world, I hope the 2 of you made it with no problems. The key included with this letter is to your apartment. I also enrolled you in the local school in Shinjuku, hopefully that will help with you meeting the other tamers. The information on where the school is at in your class you should already know. From when I put the info of the human world in your memory. Remember that there is an evil coming and it will take all of you tamers to stop it. I wish you all the best of luck. Naruto put the R back into the envelope and pocketed the key to his and Kuronamon's apartment. He then made 3 shadow clones and 2 copies of the card that Fanglongmon had given him. He too clones the 2 copies of the card and sent them to buy more Digimon cards and clothes. The third and final clone he sent to explore the area a little more to get more accustomed to it. Naruto then made his way back to the living and sat down in the middle of the floor and motioned for Kuronomon to join him. Kuronomon did as he was asked, although he wasn't quite sure what was going on. Naruto ran through a few hand signs and went to touch Kuronomon. But before he could, he was stopped by said Digimon. "What are you doing, Naruto?" asked a slightly worried Digimon as he moved away. "According to Fanglongmon-sama, I start going to school tomorrow on Monday. So with today being the only day I know of having nothing to do, I figured we should learn more about each other and maybe put in some training while we are at it." Naruto explained. "Okay. That sounds good, but what was with the way you were moving your hands just now and then trying to touch me?" Naruto let out a small chuckle. He had forgotten that he wasn't from this world or the digital world, so no one would know what he was doing. "It's alright, Kuronomon. I was making hand signs to perform a jutsu so you could enter into my mind. I have someone I want you to meet and it will be easier to explain things in there as time moves differently, giving me more time to explain all that I need to." Kuronomon relaxed a little and after some thought he decided to go along with his new tamer for now. He sat back down in front of Naruto and allowed his tamer to continue. Naruto reached out and placed his hand on Kuronomon's head and said, "Ninja art, mind entrance jutsu." Suddenly everything went black and quiet. Within Naruto's mind, at first everything was blurred and foggy. Kuronomon shook his head and rubbed his eyes to try and clear up the fog and blurriness. After he was able to see clearly again, he saw he was surrounded by gray walls and a ceiling with pipes running along them. He looked down and noticed he was standing in a few inches of water as well. The tunnel he was standing in seemed to go on forever with no end in sight. "Where are we?" he asked as he continued to take in his new surroundings. "This, my young friend, is my mind," Naruto said. "Dude, your mind is a sewer. How is that even possible?" asked an even more confused Kuronomon than before the trip. "I don't know. Never really paid any attention to it before," Naruto said with a shrug of his shoulders. "Oi kid, you just gonna stand out there or are you gonna come talk?" asked a loud, deep-sounding demonic voice that made Kuronomon shiver. What the hell was that? "See?" Oronomon asked as he began following Naruto. "That was a very large pain in my ass. You'll see in a minute." Naruto led Kuronomon down the hall a little way until it opened into a large room with a tall gate in the middle. Kuronomon watched wide-eyed as a large pair of crimson eyes rose up to stare down at him. Out of the shadows stepped a very large, orange-furred fox. The fox had 9 tails and rather large, shaped claws on each paw. The fox seemed to smile just slightly enough to reveal long, pointed canines as well. "Who's the pipsqueak kit?" Kurama asked as he studied the Digimon. "Kuronomon, this is Kurama. Kurama, this is Kuronomon, my Digimon partner," Naruto said after introducing the two. "What did you bring him in here for?" Kurama asked as he laid his head back down on his paws. "I figured that Kuronomon and I should get to know each other better. I thought maybe you could show him my memories and then we could get some training in depending on how differently time flows in here," Naruto told the demon fox. "An hour in the real world is about a year in here. Any training you do in here other than physical training will be noticeable once you return to the real world. And as for showing him your memories, are you sure you want to do that?" Kurama asked the young blonde. "Yeah, I'm sure. We are partners now and trust will be needed between us so it will help we know everything about one another." One of Kurama's tails flew through the bars of the gate and knocked Naruto face first into the floor before it gently touched Kuronomon's forehead. "What the hell was that for you fucking fur ball?" shouted an enraged Naruto. "That was for the pain in the ass comment earlier. Now Kuronomon, you will experience everything Naruto has in his life, are you ready for this?" Kurama asked with a hint of concern. Kuronomon just nodded. As soon as he gave the go-ahead, his mind was flooded with the memories of everything Naruto had went through. Kuronomon was surprised to say the least. He had a rough childhood at first, but rose to become one of the strongest people of his home world. He could go blow for blow against most megas if not the Digimon sovereigns themselves. After that, Kuronomon told Naruto of his life and stuff before meeting the blonde. Kurama agreed to train them the best he could and help Naruto with his jutsus as well. Naruto and Kuronomon decided to train for 3 hours or 3 years depending on how you look at it before heading back to the real world. As Naruto and Kuronomon returned to the real world, Naruto noticed 2 of the 3 clones sitting around the small table in the kitchen. He dispelled them and got the information of the things that they had bought while they were out. It was starting to get late after Naruto had looked through his new clothes and the cards his clones had gotten for him. The 3rd clone had yet to return. Naruto was wondering where his clone was and thought about just dispelling it but decided against it. If his clone had found something interesting, then he didn't want to interrupt the clone before he was done investigating it. About half an hour later, the clone walked in and sat down on the couch. "Where the hell have you been and why are you getting home so late?" Naruto questioned. "While I was out, I ran into someone special. You'll know what I mean once I dispel and you receive my memories," replied the clone. "You better hope it was worth it," Naruto said with a glare. "Just remember, whatever you do to us clones you are basically just doing to yourself," the clone told him with a smirk before dispelling itself. With a mumble of something to do with disrespectful clones, Naruto sat down to go over the memories he would receive momentarily. Clones' memories. Clone Naruto was Elk King through Shinjuku trying to familiarize himself with his new surroundings. He had been out exploring his new city for close to 5 hours now. It was starting to get late and he decided to make his way home. As he was walking home, his thoughts drifted back to his friends back in his home world. He was hoping they were all doing well and wondering what they were up to right now. He was deep-in thought as he turned a corner and ran into someone knocking them both to the ground. Naruto quickly got to his feet and looked to see who he had ran into. He looked down and saw a red-haired, purple-eyed girl. She had on a white t-shirt with blue sleeves and a broken heart on the front. She had a pair of blue jeans that stopped just above her ankles and a pair of red, steel-toed sneakers and buckles around her waist and legs. Clone Naruto thought she looked kinda cute and had to hide a small blush. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to run into. I'm Naruto Uzumaki," the clone said as he reached out his hand to help her up. "I'm Rika Nonaka. How about next time you watch where you're going, Baka?" Rika said as she took the offered hand. Once she was back on her feet, she took off without another word. As she was leaving, Naruto noticed a device on her belt that he had only noticed once before when he received his from Fanglongmon. Naruto saw a shadow moving along the rooftops and, putting 1 and 1 together, assumed that must be Rika's Digimon partner. He made sure no one was watching him and then applied chakra to his feet and walked up the side of a building and following after Rika and her tag-along shadow. The clone followed Rika for about 20 minutes before Rika stopped in front of a cloud of fog. Naruto jumped closer and sat down on top of a street light to see what was going to happen next. Suddenly a large flaming cat appeared in front of Rika. Clone Naruto got ready to attack just in case Rika needed any help. Rika grabbed her D-Arc as a holographic image of the cat showed up. Lynxmon. Champion-level Digimon. Attacks are Howling Buster and Wild Nail Claws. Rika read before the image disappeared. Renamon. Rika called out. Naruto was wondering who Renamon was until a bipedal, yellow-furred fox-looking Digimon appeared beside Rika. The kitsune was a little taller than Rika was. "Walk all over him, Renamon," Rika stated. The kitsune gave a slight nod before she rushed Lynxmon. Lynxmon swiped one of his massive paws as Renamon, but she slid underneath the giant cat and delivered a strong kick to the cat's stomach, sending it into the air. The kitsune then leapt up above Lynxmon as her paw started to glow with a blue flame. Renamon drove her fist into the cat's head with a shout of, "Power Paw," sending the cat face first into the ground below as Renamon landed in front of him. Renamon moved to deliver the final strike, but Lynxmon got up faster than Renamon thought he would and pinned Renamon to the ground under his front paws. Renamon tried to break free but was unable to do so. Rika watched with a look of annoyance that she had to help. She grabbed a card from her holder on her side and slashed it through her D-Arc. "Digi-modify. Ed activate," Rika shouted after swiping her card. Renamon looked up at Lynxmon with a smirk before she disappeared in a blur. Thanks to his shinobi training, Naruto was able to track Renamon as she moved. Renamin reappeared in the air above Lynxmon with her arms crossed across her chest. Small lights appeared in the air around Renamin. After Naruto looked more closely to the lights, he noticed they were sharp, pointed diamonds surrounding her. Diamond storm, Renamin shouted as she uncrossed her arms, sending the diamonds into Lynxmon. Lynxmon let out a painful roar before disappearing into red flakes of data. Renamin landed in the middle of the data and began absorbing it. When she was done, her and Rika began to walk away until they heard clapping. They both turned to see where it was calm. From as they saw someone flipping off the street light and landing in front of them. Renamin immediately went on guard while Rika was surprised to see who it was. Naruto. Rika asked confused. Hello again Rika-chan. And if I heard you right, this must be your Digimon partner, Renamin, right? Naruto asked. You can drop the suffix Naruto. How long have you been here? Rika asked with annoyance at being called Chan. Since I ran into you a little while ago. As you were walking away, I noticed your D-arc. I also saw a shadow following you across the roofs and figured it must be your partner, so I decided to follow you. And then I saw the whole fight between Renamin and that Lynxmon. I gotta say, I'm impressed with Renamin's strength. Naruto praised much to Renamin's shock. Are you a tamer too? And how did you see Renamin? No one has ever seen her before. Rika asked. Someone that hasn't been trained would never be able to notice her following you. I however have been trained to notice even the smallest of details. As for your first question, maybe I am a tamer and maybe I'm not. I don't reveal all my secrets to someone I just met. I'll see you around Rika-chan. With that said, Naruto began to walk off, leaving behind two very confused females. With real Naruto. Naruto snapped out of his memories with a small blush from the memories of Rika. So, it seems I have already met one of the tamers. I wonder how many more there are. Naruto thought to himself. Naruto looked at the clock on the microwave and saw it was a little after midnight. Seeing as how he had school in the morning, he decided to turn in for the night. Since I have school tomorrow, I think we should head to bed for the night, Koronamon. Naruto said to his partner as he nodded in agreement. Naruto walked into the bedroom and Koronamon leapt onto the top bunk and laid down while Naruto took the bottom bed. Naruto set the alarm on the clock next to his bed, then laid down. Night Naruto, said Koronamon. Night buddy. Naruto replied and let sleep overtake him. Naruto and Koronamon woke to the sound of the alarm clock the next morning. Naruto slowly rose out of bed, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. He made his way to his dresser and grabbed some clothes before heading to the bathroom to take a shower. A few minutes later and Naruto emerged from the bathroom in one of the new outfits his clone had gotten yesterday. Naruto was now in a pair of plain blue jeans with a belt to place his card holder and D-arc. He had on a black t-shirt with an orange strip going down the sides. He had a red unzipped hoodie jacket on over his shirt. Naruto made his way into the kitchen and decided to make some breakfast for him and his Digimon partner. Naruto and Koronamon sat down at the small kitchen table and started to eat. It was Koronamon who broke the silence first. Do you think you will end up meeting any other tamers? Koronamon asked as he finished up his breakfast. It's hard to tell. Fanglongum. Onsama was hoping it would be easier for me to meet them at school, so I will just have to see. The blonde replied as he placed the dishes in the sink, then made a clone to clean up. I don't think I will ever get used to seeing you do that. Koronamon said, looking at the copy of his partner. Give it a while and you will get used to it, just takes some time. Anyway, you want to hang out here for the day or you want to come with me? Asked Naruto. I don't want to be stuck inside all day, but won't people freak if they see me? It should be fine as long as you follow me from the rooftops and stay out of sight. Once we get to the school you can either hide out on the roof or in a nearby tree or something. Naruto explained. Alright, let's get out of here then, replied the bipedal lion as he headed for the door. Naruto made it to the school about 15 minutes later. He watched as Koronamon made it to a nearby tree to wait for the end of school. Naruto entered the school building and began to look for his class. He looked for a while and couldn't seem to find his classroom. You look kinda lost. Need some help? Asked a voice behind Naruto. Naruto turned around to see a boy about the same age himself. He had on a blue shirt, long gray shorts, and a pair of yellow goggles and yellow wristband. Yeah, I'm a little lost. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and I just moved here. I need to find Ms. Asagi's class. Naruto said as he introduced himself. I'm Takato Mitsuki. Seems you're in luck, I'm in Ms. Asagi's class. Come on, I'll show you where it's at. Takato replied. The two boys made their way through the school with Takato leading the way to class. The two walked into class and Takato went and took his seat as the teacher motioned for Naruto to come forward. Class, we have a new student joining us today. I would like to introduce Naruto Uzumaki. You can have a seat in the empty desk behind Takato, said Ms. Asagi. As Naruto made his way to his seat, he picked up on so many of the comments from the other class members. Most were from girls saying how cute his whisker marks were or wondering if he was single or not. He sat down as the teacher began her lesson. The first half of the day had gone by slowly. The bell finally rang for lunch and the class made their way out of the room to head outside to eat after getting their lunch. Naruto was walking down the hall and noticed a large box out of the corner of his eye. He looked at it for a moment before shrugging his shoulders and deciding to continue on with his business. Before he turned away, the box sprouted a large red tail and began walking off. Naruto decided to follow the box and see where it went. Naruto watched from behind a corner as the principal stopped the box. The principal removed the box revealing a small red dinosaur with a strange design on his chest. Naruto had to cover his mouth to stop from laughing out loud at the principal's reaction. Naruto then followed the dinosaur-looking creature as it made its way to the roof. As Naruto walked through the door, the dinosaur looked around and noticed him. Hi, do you know where Takataman is? Asked the creature. Takataman. Who's that? And who are you? Asked the blonde. I'm Gilman and Takataman is my friend and partner. I wanted to see him so I came looking for him. He was supposed to be at school but I can't find him. Replied the sad-looking Gilman. He must mean Takato. Which means that Takato is a tamer as well. Naruto thought to himself. Koronamon, Naruto called out. A few seconds later, Koronamon landed near Naruto. He ticked Gilman but he waited to see what Naruto had him do. What do you need, Naruto? Would you mind keeping Gilman company while I go find his tamer? It should only take me a few minutes. Asked Naruto. After receiving a nod from his partner, Naruto turned and walked back down the stairs to find Takato. With Takato. Takato was standing outside bent over with his hands on his knees panting. He had been running around the entire school looking for Gilman. He had heard something about the principal had been run into a red dinosaur and he immediately took off in search for his Digimon partner. He looked all over and had yet to find him. You have got to be the worst tamer ever if you already lost your partner, said a voice behind him. He looked and saw a small dog-rabbit hybrid-looking creature with a horn on its head. Beside it was a boy that looked about his age. He had blue hair, an orange jacket vest on over a gray t-shirt, and brown pants. Terriermon, that wasn't nice, said the boy as he looked up at Takato. I'm Henry Wong and this is Terriermon. I'm Takato Mitsuki. Have you seen Gilman or know where he is? Please help me find him, I don't want anything to happen to him. Takato said. Momentai Takato. I'm sure he is here somewhere, said Terriermon. What does Momentai mean? Asked Takato. It means to relax and stop worrying. Henry explained. How can I not worry? I can't find my partner anywhere. He could be in trouble or something. Takato said with a bit of worry. Your partner is fine. He isn't hurt or anything, he is just looking for you, said a voice behind the two boys. Takato turned to see Naruto walking up to them. So you two are tamers as well, huh? I'm Naruto Uzumaki by the way, Naruto said as he introduced himself and held out a hand to Henry. Henry Wong. This is Terriermon, replied Henry as he shook Naruto's hand. Naruto turned and began walking away as he motioned for the three to follow him. Naruto led them back into the school and then up to the roof where he left Koronamon and Gilman. As the four of them made it to the roof, they found the two staring at the clouds. Hearing someone approach, Koronamon and Gilman turned to see who it was. Gilman then proceeded to tackle Takato in a hug. After Takato got Gilman off him, he looked at Naruto. So I'm guessing this is your partner then? Asked Takato. Yeah, guys, this is Koronamon. Koronamon, this is Takato. Henry, and Terriermon. Just then the bell rang. Why don't you guys leave Guilmon and Terriermon here with Coronamon until after school, then we will find some place for Guilmon to hide out while you're not around? Naruto asked. The other two tamers nodded as the three boys made their way back inside and back to class. The rest of the day going just as slowly as the first half. After school, Naruto, Takato, Henry, and their Digimon tamers were walking through Shinjuku Park looking for a place to hide Guilmon while Takato wasn't around. They had looked around most of the city but had yet to find a place. So here they were walking through the park trying to find a hideout the dinosaur-looking Digimon. As they were walking down one of the paths in the park, Naruto noticed movement coming from one of the nearby trees. He grabbed a hold of Guilmon's tail and put him back just as a round of small projectiles landed where he had been standing just a few seconds before. You should really watch where you aim those things, Renamon. You could really hurt someone with those things, Naruto said looking towards the tree the attack had come from. Naruto, who's Renamon and what just happened? Asked a confused Takato. As soon as Takato asked his question, a tall bipedal, yellow-furred fox landed next to a red-haired girl. That is Renamon, Naruto said pointing to the Digimon answering Takato's question. What are you doing here, Rika? Naruto asked. Well, seeing as there are 3 Digimon here for Renamon to beat and absorb their data, I figured I would go ahead and get it done and over with, replied the fiery-haired tamer. You can't do that. I don't want to lose Guilmon. He's my friend, you can't take him away from me, Takato said in a panicked voice, afraid of losing Guilmon. Now Rika-chan, you know you can't do that. That wouldn't be very nice to Guilmon, Terriermon, and Coronamon, now would it? Naruto said. Well, I didn't plan on being nice. Renamon is just going to beat them and take their data. Go get them, Renamon, Rika ordered. Hi Rika, was all Renamon said as she jumped through the air aiming for the Digimon closest to her, which just happened to be Coronamon. Renamon's paw started glowing a light blue color as flames encircled her paw. Power paw, Renamon yelled as she dove towards her target with her paw out in front of her. Naruto let a smirk cross his face as Coronamon looked back at him. Just don't hurt too bad, Coronamon. Coronamon nodded as he turned back toward Renamon. As Renamon went to drive her fist into Coronamon's face, he simply put up his hand and stopped the attack dead in its tracks. Renamon's eyes widened as her attack was stopped before Coronamon flipped her over her shoulder and threw her at a tree. She hit the tree with her back with a loud thud. Everyone's eyes were wide in shock at the fight going on in front of them. At first, they thought Coronamon was going to be beaten and absorbed. But he had just defended himself with seemingly little effort. Rika, however, was shaking with rage. She was planning on destroying the 3 Digimon and hoping that would be enough to help Renamon digivolve. Renamon, get up and get back in this, Rika told her partner. Renamon slowly got back up and stood on shaky legs. She then jumped high into the air and crossed her arms over her chest as diamonds appeared around her. She uncrossed her arms and launched her attack. Diamond Storm, she yelled as her attack sped towards Coronamon. Naruto decided to try and see if he had gotten the idea of the modify cards down yet. He pulled his D-Arc off his belt and a card out of his holder. He then slashed the card through the side of the D-Arc. Digi-Modify. Speed activate. With that done, Coronamon blurred from sight and avoided the diamond projectiles. Renamon looked around trying to find the lion-looking Digimon but couldn't see him anywhere. All of a sudden Coronamon appeared right in front of the fox Digimon. Corona Knuckle, yelled Coronamon as he unleashed a multitude of punches with his fire-covered fists into Renamon. Coronamon stopped his attack a few seconds later. Renamon fell forwards unconscious, but before she hit the ground Coronamon caught her in his arms and held her bridal style. Everyone around was completely amazed, except for Rika, who was a little angry at the blonde and his partner. At what had just occurred. Coronamon had won the fight with one attack, and on top of that, he seemed to hold back quite a bit. Naruto turned to the other 2 boys behind him with a smile on his face. I'll see you 2 tomorrow sometime. Later, Naruto said as he walked off towards Rika. Later, Naruto, Takato and Henry said in unison as they continued to search for a place for Guilmon to hide out. Naruto and Coronamon walked up to Rika, who was still upset with the blonde and his partner. What do you want? Rika asked with a bit of venom on her words. Well, since Renamon Knocked out. I thought Koronamon and I would be nice and carry her home for you so she can rest. Naruto replied. You mean so I can carry her home, right? Asked Koronamon. Why should I show you where I live? Asked Rika. Well, it's either that or you can carry her home. I was just trying to be nice, Rika-chan. Naruto said as he flashed her one of his signature foxy grin. Come on, I'll show ya the way. Rika said as she turned away quickly to hide the light blush that crept up after seeing him smile. Why am I acting like this? He is just some annoying boy that won't leave me alone. Rika thought to herself as she began to walk off. Follow us from the roofs and try to stay out of sight. Naruto said as Koronamon nodded and leapt off with Renamon still in his arms. Naruto then took off to catch up with Rika. They walked for a few minutes before Naruto broke the silence. Can I ask you a question, Rika-chan? Asked Naruto. Rika just shrugged her shoulders as she kept walking. Why do you have Renamon fight so much? Naruto asked her. I just want her to get stronger and be able to digivolve. I have no other reason than that. Responded the red-haired tamer. It takes more than Saint strength and power to become stronger, Rika-chan. A friend I once had told me that when you have someone you truly wish to protect, that's when one's strength reaches its maximum. Naruto told her. Rika thought over his words before a question formed in her head. You said a friend you once had, what happened? He died a long time ago but his words have stuck with me all this time. Replied Naruto. So are you from around here or somewhere else? Asked Rika as she continued on her path home. I'm not from around here, in fact I come from somewhere really far away. Naruto said as he thought. Back to all his friends back in the elemental nations. Rika was gonna ask what he meant but she saw the look in his eyes. The look she knew all too well that came from going through some sort of pain or sadness. Rika had that same look since she found out that her dad and left her and her mother to support themselves. Naruto happened to look over as Rika was lost in thought. He saw the look of sadness and loneliness in her eyes. He knew all too well how it felt to be alone. He was the same way back before he met Iruka and the third Hokage, then Team 7 and the rest of his classmates, the Sand siblings. The other Kage and Killer Bee. He used to be the same way till he made friends. Rika-chan, there's more to you wanting Renamon to digivolve, isn't there? You're afraid that if she doesn't get stronger, then she will get beaten and leave you. Something has happened that has caused you to have a feeling of loneliness and sadness. I won't ask what it is or what it involves, after all everyone has their secrets. I just want you to know that if you need someone to talk to, I'm here for you. Naruto said as Rika came to a stop in front of a gated-off house. Just then Koronamon dropped down beside the two tamers. I laid Rina-chan down in one of the rooms on the back side of the house. He said before he jumped back to the roofs. Well, I should be going, I need to get home and get Koronamon and me something to eat. I'll see you later, Rika-chan. Naruto started walking off before a hand grabbed his wrist. He stopped and turned around to see what Rika wanted. Before he could ask, Rika pulled him into a quick hug. It took a few seconds but Naruto slowly returned the hug. Thank you for walking me home and for talking to me, Naruto. Rika then quickly broke free, hoping no one saw that little action. Too bad for her that someone did. Rika and Naruto both heard giggling and looked to see an elderly woman standing in the gate. Rika's face immediately went bright red. Come now, Rika, no reason to be embarrassed. Is this young boy a friend of yours? Asked the woman. Rika looked back and forth between the two people with her before saying the first thing that came to her mind. No, Ba-chan. He is just someone I met on the way home. Rika-chan, I'm hurt. He said before he turned to the older women. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I'm Rika-chan's best friend, even though she probably won't admit it to anyone but me. Naruto said with a smile. I'm Seiko Hata, I'm Rika's grandmother. It's nice to meet one Rika's friends. She doesn't bring any of them around. Would you like to stay for dinner, Naruto-kun? Asked the now identified Seiko. I'm sorry, Seiko-san, but I must refuse. I have to get home to finish homework and get ready for school. Maybe next time I can stay longer. Naruto replied. That's alright, Naruto-kun, it's good to see that you take your schoolwork seriously. I will have Rika let you know when a good time is for you to stop by. See you later, Naruto-kun. Replied Seiko as she turned and left. Well, I'm gonna head home. See ya around, Rika-chan. Naruto said as he turned and began walking off. Thanks again, Naruto. Later. And with that Rika went inside. After Naruto got farther down the road away from the majority of houses, Koronamon appeared beside him. "So Rina-chan is it now, huh buddy?" asked Naruto with a sly smile. "Oh shut up," was all Koronamon said as he looked away from his tamer. They made their way home and had dinner before calling it a night and heading to bed waiting for the next day. In the southern area of the digital world, Zhu Chowman sat on his throne looking down at a cloaked figure kneeling before him. The only visible thing about this figure was one glowing crimson eye. Kneeled next to the figure was a small, black Digimon. He had one red eye and one green eye. He also had an eye on each palm of his hands. He had what looked like small bat wings coming from his back and wrapped around his body, connected in front of him by a small gold chain. He had on a pair of black pants and dark blue shoes with 3 red claws coming from each shoe with sharp red fingernails. This Digimon was Dracmon. "You are my right-hand man now. I expect nothing but perfection from the two of you. I want you to learn what you can of those tamers that Fanglongmon seems to trust so much. The old fool thinks we need help stopping the chaos from rising. Do whatever you need to in order to take out the tamers' partners to keep them from interfering with my plans," roared Zuchowman. "Hi master. Let's go Dracmon," replied the hooded figure as he pulled out a white D-arc with a black ring around the screen and black buttons and opened a digi-gate to the real world and disappeared. "I will prove to that old fool that we don't need those tamers to stop the chaos. As long as my new servant keeps the others busy, everything will go according to plans," thought Zuchowman. Human world. At the top of a large building in the middle of Shinjuku, stood a tall, blonde man flicking his lighter open and closed. He was wearing a black business suit with a pair of sunglasses. This was Mitsuo Yamaki. He was staring up a giant screen on the roof of the room he was in. In the middle of the room were 2 women sitting in chairs that were moving back and forth around the room. One was a brown-haired woman and the other was a redhead. "Sir, we have 2 wild ones trying to bio-emerge. One is a weak signal and the other is quite large," said the red-haired woman as 2 small red circles appeared on the screen. "Put a tracer on it now Riley," replied Yamaki. "Hi sir," replied the now named redhead. Yamaki watched as a 3rd red circle headed for the first 2 before it disappeared. "What happened Riley?" asked Yamaki. "The tracer was destroyed sir. The wild one is bio-emerging," said Riley. Across the city of Shinjuku, a hooded figure appeared with his Digimon partner. "Let's see if we can find these other tamers," thought the figure. With Naruto. It had been a rather couple boring days for Naruto. He had made it through another week of boring classes that was even more boring than Iruka's had been. After school had let out for the day, he and Koronamon had decided to walk around the city looking for bio-emerging Digimon. Takato and Gilman had overheard them and had asked to tag along. At the moment, the 2 tamers and their partners were walking through a parking garage headed back to Gilman's hideout. Out of nowhere, a white furred paw slammed into Koronamon's jaw, sending him flying into the concrete wall. Owly stood up, rubbing his jaw where he had just been hit. He looks around to see Renamon standing with a smirk on her face. "Oi Rina-chan, you know it's not nice to attack someone when they ain't expecting it," said Koronamon. "I didn't realize I was supposed to be nice," replied Renamon with a small blush from the nickname. "So where is Rika-chan at? She must not be too far behind," asked Naruto. Just then Rika stepped out from behind one of the concrete columns. "I told you to drop the suffix whiskers," Rika says with an angry expression at the use of chan. "Anyone ever tell you that you look cute when you're angry?" asked Naruto, causing Rika to blush a deep red. "I didn't come here to talk. I came to fight. I owe you for last time we fought Whiskers," replied Rika. "You don't always have to fight," came a voice from behind Takato. Everyone turned to see Henry and Terriermon come walking up to them. "You all really need to momentai," said Terriermon from the top of Henry's head. Our words however fell on deaf ears and Koronamon and Renamon charged at each other. At this time, Terriermon jumped off Henry's head to try and break up the fight. "Terriermon, don't do it," yelled Henry. It was too late as a red beam shot out from behind one of the cars and enveloped Terriermon. Terriermon digivolved to Gargomon. The small form of Terriermon was now replaced with a much larger version. He had on a pair of blue jean pants and a belt of bullets thrown around his chest. He also had 2 large Gatling guns on at the end of each arm. He had a small red diamond on the center of his forehead and 2 red whisker-like marks on each cheek. Naruto pulled out his D-Arc as an image popped up on the screen. Gargomon. Champion-level animal-type Digimon. His attacks are Gargo Laser and Bunny Pummel. Gargomon took a minute to look around before he got a faraway look in his eyes and started randomly shooting off his guns in different directions at anything and everything. Naruto just managed to avoid getting shot as he landed behind a car with Takato and Henry. This is why I didn't want him to digivolve. He isn't ready for that type of power yet, said Henry from his hiding spot. Naruto heard Gargomon stop firing and looked up to see why. When he looked up he saw Rika backed up against a concrete pillar frozen by fear. Gargomon was slowly making his way towards her with a maniacal grin on his face. Renamon. Guilmon distract Gargomon for a minute. Coronamon, I want you to go all out now. Naruto shouted as rushed to Rika and scooped her up bridal style and got her away from the oversized bunny. Guilmon and Renamon both did as Naruto said and tried distracting Gargomon with a swipe of the claws here or a punch there. Coronamon concentrated all his power into the headpiece on his forehead. Corona Flame, shouted Coronamon as he fired a large flame from his headpiece at Gargomon. The attack made impact and sent the bunny flying into the nearby wall, knocking him out. After releasing the attack, Coronamon started to fall from the loss of his stamina, but Renamon helped him over to Naruto and Rika and helped him sit down. Nice job you three, Naruto told the 3 Digimon before turning to Henry. You may want to find a way to de-digivolve him. I'm going to take Rika-chan home. Would you care to take Coronamon to Rika's and I'll bring Rika? The blonde asked the kitsune, to which she nodded and placed the smaller Digimon on her back and disappeared. Naruto set Rika down on her feet but quickly caught her again as her legs were still shaking with fear and gave out from underneath her. Naruto carried her out of the parking garage and headed back towards her home. Unbeknown to anyone was a hooded figure watching from the shadows with his partner. Seems like I found the tamers Zuchouman-sama was talking about. They will be fun to get rid of, especially the blonde, thought the figure with a quiet chuckle to himself. With Naruto and Rika, Naruto was currently on his way back to Rika's house with Rika still in his arms. He noticed Renamon out of the corner of his eye, with Coronamon still on her back, staying close enough to jump into action should something happen. He smiled at the fact that Renamon was worried for her tamer, but smirked at the thought that he was strong enough to take on most Digimon by himself. Oi kid, when are you gonna tell them the truth? You won't be able to keep it from them forever, especially the red-haired vixen you're so fond of. Kurama asked. I don't know when I'll tell them, Kurama. I don't think they would talk. It too easily finding out I'm from a different dimension completely. And what do you mean that I'm so fond of Rika-chan? She is just a friend, replied Naruto. You may not realize it yet kid, but you have feelings for her. I have already started noticing the changes. Come to your mindscape and you will see what I mean. I will use a little of my chakra to keep your body going on the right track. Kurama explained as he sent some chakra into Naruto's body. Naruto's mind. Naruto appeared in the hallway of the sewer-like mindscape he was used to. However, there was no water on the floor and no dripping from the ceiling or walls like there usually was. Naruto made his way down the hallway until he came to the room that held the Biju. What's with this place, Kurama? It isn't as wet as it usually is in here, asked Naruto. That is what I was talking about, Naruto. This is the first time since I have been sealed inside of you that your mindscape has changed. I believe it is because deep down in your heart, you know you are truly happy here with your new friends and more importantly the red-haired vixen. Kurama explained as Naruto gained a confused look. But I don't understand why. I was happy back in Konoha with all my friends there. How come this never happened before? Naruto asked confused as he looked around the room. We both know that is a lie kid. You hid behind that mask of pretend happiness so no one would ever see the true you. You may have thought and believed you were happy then, but this change never occurred back in our home world, now did it? This change only started when you met the other 3 tamers and got closer to each of them. I believe that as you get closer and form stronger bonds with the others, more change will happen. Besides, didn't your her want you to find a nice girl and settle down anyways? Chuckled Kurama as the blonde blushed bright red at the last statement. You're right, Kurama, I don't think I was ever truly happy back in Konoha. Maybe things will be different in this world. When do you think I should tell them? Naruto asked the large fox. Tell the vixen first and tell her the next time you get the chance. You two have a lot more in common than you both realize right now. As for the other two, just tell them whenever you get them together so that way you won't have to tell her story more than once. Kurama explained. Naruto nodded in agreement with the fox before he started to slip out of his mindscape. Real world. While Naruto and Kurama were having their conversation, Rika was lost in her own thoughts. She though. UGHT back to the parking garage and how afraid she was watching Gargomon come at her with his guns raised. She thought for sure she was going to die. Then she saw Naruto run towards her and get her away from the danger. She saw Renamon look back at her with a worried expression on her face. Does she really care about my safety? But she is just data, she can't have any type of feelings, can she? If she digivolves, will she end up going on a rampage like Gargomon? Rika thought to herself as she felt someone gently shake her. Looking up, she saw a smiling Naruto with that fox-like grin. She quickly looked away as a blush spread across her face. What is wrong with me? Naruto gently set her on her feet and waited to see if she would be able to stand on her own. Well, now that I know you are home safely, I should head home myself and get some dinner for me and Koronamon. See ya later, Rika-chan. Wait, Whiskers, why don't you join me and Ba-chan for dinner tonight? She has been waiting for you to come back around. Rika asked. If it ain't a problem, I would love to, replied Naruto as he followed Rika through the front gate and into her house. Ba-chan, I'm home, shouted Rika as she took her shoes off, with Naruto doing the same. Welcome home, Rika-chan. How was? She stopped in the middle of her sentence as she came out of the kitchen and saw Naruto. Well, hello Naruto-kun, I'm glad to see you finally came back around. I thought you might have been scared of me, Seiko said with a laugh. I'm not afraid, Seiko-san. I have just been busy with all my school work. I ran into Rika-chan earlier and walked her home, and she asked if I would stay for dinner and I told her I would as long as I wasn't a bother to anyone, replied Naruto. Nonsense, Naruto-kun. You are always welcome in our home. If you ever need anything, all you have to do is ask, replied Seiko. Arigato, Seiko-san, Naruto replied. With that said, Naruto followed the two females into the kitchen and sat down at the table. The dinner was pleasant, with small talk between the three of them trying to get to know each other better. After they were done eating, Rika led Naruto to the backyard. Naruto was amazed at how big their place really was. There was a large koi pond in the middle of the yard with a bridge across the middle. There were benches scattered around the area under a few of the trees that were growing. There were also flowers planted around the whole length of the fence surrounding the backyard. Rika walked over to one of the benches by the koi pond and sat down, with Naruto joining her. Quote, now is the time to tell her the truth, kid. The longer you wait, the harder it will get, Kurama said from within Naruto. Naruto let out a sigh, which caught Rika's attention, and looked up at her. Rika, there is something I need to tell you, Naruto said. Alright, and that would be? Rika asked. I'm not from around here or any place close to here, Naruto said, gaining a confused look from Rika. You already told me that, Whiskers. Rika, what I'm about to show and tell you, I need you to keep a secret and try not to be afraid of me, Naruto said as he stood and moved away from the bench and Rika. Rika watched as Naruto closed his eyes as if he were trying to concentrate on something. What happened next really surprised Rika. Naruto started to glow orange as what looked like flames appeared and covered his body. She thought he would burn, but he seemed perfectly fine. The glow surrounding him seemed to turn into a coat of sorts around his body, with a black bodysuit on underneath before the glow subsided. Small black balls seemed to hover in the air behind him. His pupils changed and now had cross-like slits in them, and his whisker marks stood out a bit more. Rika took in his presence as a new feeling entered her body. She didn't know what the feeling was or where it came from, but all she knew was that she wanted the blonde standing in front of her. It was taking everything she had not to jump him there and now. What is this feeling? Is it because of the power he is putting off, or what? Thought Rika to herself. Naruto held his Kyuubi Sage mode for a couple minutes, letting Rika take in his appearance. With him being able to sense emotion, Naruto could feel the small amount of lust Rika had building inside her and cancelled his technique before things got out of hand, much to Rika's disappointment. I think some explaining needs to be done, Whiskers. Rika said, clearly confused at what she just saw. I will explain everything while showing you my memories. Some memories aren't the best, but it will be the easiest way to explain everything. I need you to keep still and just listen as I do this, okay? Naruto asked. Rika just nodded in response and Naruto made a few hand signs and placed a finger on Rika's forehead. Kitsune style. Memory transfer jutsu. Original jutsu, by the way, Naruto said as memories began traveling into Rika's mind. As this happened, Naruto explained each one to the best he could. From the day Kurama attacked and his birth, to him becoming a ninja, to the ninja war and his final fight with Sasuke, and then his time in the digital world and her own world. By the time Naruto finished the jutsu and explanations, Rika had tears in her eyes. She was amazed at how much pain and suffering he had gone through and still managed to push on with a smile. She wasn't sure what to say, so she just pulled him into a hug and asked, "How?" "How what?" replied Naruto. "How could you go through all that and still be sane and happy?" Rika asked after letting the blonde go. "I had friends and loved ones that cared for me and I cared for them. I will always do whatever it takes to protect those that are precious to me, and as long as they are happy then so am I," replied Naruto with a smile. "Don't you want to go back home though?" "At first I did, but there is no way for me to get home, so I might as well enjoy it while I live. Besides, I have people here I care for now," Naruto replied with a wink that caused Rika to blush. There was silence between the two of them for a few minutes before Naruto spoke up. "Can I ask you a question, Rika-chan?" "Go for it, Whiskers. I saw pictures of you, Seiko-san, and another woman I assume is your mom. Where is your dad?" Naruto asked. Rika wasn't expecting a question like that. She never talked about her dad to anyone. However, Naruto did trust her enough to talk to her, so maybe she could trust the blonde enough to talk to him. "I don't know really. I was young when he left and I never figured out why. All I remember is one night I heard my mom and dad yelling at each other. When I went to see what was going on, they were both crying and wouldn't look at each other. Then dad just walked out the door and never returned. His name was Yusei Nonaka. Yes, I borrowed the name from Yu-Gi-Oh! I wish I knew where he is or that he would come back, but I just don't think that will ever happen," Rika explained with tears in her eyes. Naruto placed an arm around Rika's shoulders and tried to comfort the young girl. They remained sitting there in silence like that for about 10 minutes. "I have to go, Rika-chan. If you need anything, call or text me," Naruto said as he pulled a slip of paper with his number, for the phone he got a few days ago, on it. "Be careful, Whiskers. You never know when a Digimon will pop up. See ya later," Rika said. "I will be, and I have Koronamon with me, so it will be okay. Later," Naruto said as he turned the corner and headed for the gate. Just outside the gate, he was stopped by Seiko. "Is there something I can do for you, Seiko-san?" asked Naruto. "I saw what you did out back, Naruto-kun." This made Naruto freeze. "I just wanted to ask you to please take care of my granddaughter. I know of the kitsune that watches over her, and I believe you have a guardian as well. I saw the power you had and I know you won't hurt Rika, so I just ask that you please keep her safe. This is the first time that Rika has opened up to anyone since her father left many years ago," Seiko explained. "I promise you, Seiko-san, as long as I am around no harm will be done to Rika. And I never break a promise," Naruto replied. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. And don't worry, I will keep your secret safe," Seiko said as she hugged Naruto and made her way back inside. Koronamon joined Naruto as the two of them made their way back to their apartment. The one thing no one noticed was a dark figure staring down at them from a nearby roof. "So, he has feelings for the red-haired girl. Maybe I can use her to my advantage then," thought the figure with a dark chuckle as he stepped inside the Digi-Gate. Naruto made it to school that morning just like any other. When he arrived at school though, he saw everyone crowded around the soccer field. As Naruto made his way forward, he saw the field was completely covered in random chalk drawings and lines. Naruto had to stifle a laugh at how bad the prank seemed to him. As he made his way towards class, he overheard some of the other kids saying how they thought it could be aliens or ghosts. Naruto couldn't help but giggle at the absurd thoughts coming from his classmates. However, with his heightened sense of smell he knew it was a Digimon. Hanging out with Koronamon and the others, he could pick out what were Digimon smells and what weren't. He decided that he would stick around school after everyone else leaves to see if the Digimon would return. As he made his way to class, his thoughts drifted to a certain red-haired tamer and their conversation. He hadn't had time to talk to her since that night a few days ago and wondered if she would like the chance to hang out and possibly fight a Digimon or two. Of course she would, Rika-chan is always looking for a fight. Naruto thought to himself. After school, the soccer team had cleaned their field and were now using it for practice. Over hiding in a bush next the field was a little creature watching with stars in his eyes. The little guy had large green eyes with black pupils and really large ears. He had 3 little black triangles surrounding one red one right in the middle of his forehead. He couldn't have been more than a foot tall. This little guy was the light of Digivolution, known better as Calamon. Calamon was enjoying watching the kids play soccer. As he watched them play, he began to dream of himself being a soccer player and winning the game for his team. By the time his dream was over, all the kids had left, leaving just Calamon. He used his ears and float to the middle of the field and looked around. Where did everyone go? Did they not want to play with Calamon? He asked quietly to himself as his ears shrank. He soon bounced back to being happy after deciding to find something to do until he found someone else to play with. With Naruto. School had just let out and Naruto was headed to Rika's before he went back to the school for his stakeout of the school that evening. He was gonna stay at the school as soon as it let out for the day but decided against with the soccer team being there for practice. Plus he didn't have Rika's number so he wouldn't call or text her anyways, which meant a visit to her place anyway. Naruto rounded the final corner before Rika's place and was stopped by a sight he never thought he would see. Rika was almost to the gate of her house wearing what he assumed was her school outfit. The thing that caught his attention though was the fact she was in a skirt. "Never thought I would see you in a skirt, Rika-chan," Naruto said as he walked up behind her. Rika jumped and turned around at the sudden voice of someone behind her. When she saw it was Naruto, she relaxed and tried to slow her rapidly beating heart. "Don't sneak up on me like that, Whiskers. You just about gave me a heart attack. What are you even doing here?" Well, there were strange drawings all over our soccer field at school, and with my heightened senses thanks to Kurama, I could tell it was a Digimon from the smell of it. I decided to wait at the school tonight and see if it returned. I was gonna see if you wanted to join me, but after seeing you in this skirt, I might just stay here and stare at you all evening, Naruto said with a small flirtatious edge to his voice. The last part of his explanation made Rika blush so deep that it would have made Hinata proud. "Sure, I'll go. I just have to change and let Ba-chan know that I'm leaving for a bit," she said as she motioned for Naruto to follow her inside. Rika and Naruto walked in and took off their shoes and headed for the kitchen. Both were surprised to see a blonde woman sitting at the table with Rika's grandmother. "Ka-chan?" Rika asked. The blonde-haired woman stood and faced the two teens. "Hello, Rika," said the woman as she gave Rika a hug. She was surprised when Rika returned the hug before letting go. Next she turned toward Naruto. "You must be Naruto-kun. I have heard quite a bit about you from Rika and Ka-chan. I'm Rumiko Nonaka, Rika's mother," said the now-named Rumiko. "It's a pleasure to finally get to meet you, Rumiko-san," Naruto replied. "Ka-chan, can I go out for a bit?" Whiskers was wanting to hang out for a while. Rika asked her mother. "Only if Naruto-kun stays for dinner when he walks you home. That way we can get to know each other better," replied Rumiko. "I would love to, Rumiko-san. We'll head out after you get changed, Rika-chan," Naruto said, and Rika left with a smile down the hall to change into her normal clothes. After Rika left, Rumiko gave Naruto a fierce hug. "Thank you, Naruto-kun." "Thanks for what?" asked a confused blonde. "For being Rika's friend. This is the first time I have seen her happy in a very long time. Ka-chan. And I have tried so much to get her to smile and be happy, but nothing ever worked. But with you, it seems you are breaking that shell that she has surrounded herself with. So I'll say it once again, thank you, Naruto-kun," Rumiko said right before Rika came back into the kitchen. "You ready, Rika-chan?" asked Naruto. Rika nodded her head and they left to head back to the school. Naruto and Rika had been walking for about 15 minutes. Rika noticed that Naruto kept looking behind them as if trying to find someone following them. They rounded a corner and Rika was about to ask what was going on. when Naruto suddenly pulled her into an alley and motioned for her to be quiet. He reached down to his right pant leg and pulled a kunai from a seal he had placed on it. All of a sudden, Naruto reached out and pulled someone into the alley with them and shoved them up against the wall with the kunai at their throat. "Who are you and why are you following us?" Naruto the man. He had a black suit with a pair of sunglasses on. He had short, blonde hair and a lighter in his hand. His eyes were wide in shock and fear of the younger blonde, but Naruto couldn't see that through the sunglasses. "You can call me Yamaki. I am the head of an organization called Hypnos. We monitor and destroy wild Digimon before they have a chance to cross over or bio-emerge into our world. I am here to warn you that you all are playing a dangerous game. Those monsters you have as pets need to be destroyed, and I plan on doing just that before they can do any harm to our world," explained Yamaki. "They're not pets or monsters. They are our friends and partners. If you want them then you will have to go through me, and that is a hell of a lot easier said than done. Don't bother us again, Yamaki." Naruto growled "OUT," and his eyes flashed from blue to crimson red then back to blue before he threw Yamaki out of the alley and he and Rika took off. "I will definitely have to keep an eye on that boy. He could be a bug problem," Yamaki thought as he walked back to Hypnos Towers. Back at the school, Naruto, Rika, Renamon, and Koronamon all sat atop the school waiting for any sign of the Digimon. Renamon saw the BU. She's moving and motioned for the others to follow her gaze. Naruto nodded to the two Digimon and scooped up Rika in his arms before they jumped to the ground and waited for the Digimon to appear. They were a little shocked to see the little cream puff of a Digimon. Calamon on the other hand was happy to see someone. He had been looking all evening for a playmate and he was hoping he had found one. "Did you come to play with me?" asked Calamon. Naruto bent down closer to Calamon's level. "I'm Naruto, what's your name little guy?" "I'm Calamon. I've been looking for someone to play with." Naruto made a clone so Calamon could play while he talked to his friends. "Okay, so this has been a waste of time. I don't really think the little guy is bad or anything, is why don't we just take him with us?" "And where would he go?" asked Rika. "Well, Koronamon and Renamon could play with him while we have dinner with your Ka-chan and Ba-chan, and then I will take him with me." "Sound good?" Naruto asked. "All right, let's go then," Rika said and started to walk off until they were surrounded by fog. "Looks like you get your fight after all, Rika-chan," Naruto said with a grin. Rika pulled out her D-Arc as an image appeared of Alomon. Armored Dinosaur Digimon. Attacks are Dino Burst and Dynamite Head. Be careful, Rika. I fought one of this with Koronamon while he was still Sunman back in the Digi world. They have really tough and are hard to hurt, Naruto told her. Rika nodded at Renamon to give her the go-ahead to start attacking. She slid underneath the dinosaur and jumped up behind him. Her hat started to glow and was surrounded with blue flames. "Power Paw," Renamon yelled as she drove her hand towards the back of his neck. Alomon seemed unfazed as he used his tail to knock her away and load after her with a shout of, "Dynamite Head." Renamon rolled to a stop and just managed to jump out of the way as Alomon shattered the ground where she was just at. As Alomon turned around, he shouted, "Dino Burst," as red flames shout forth from his mouth. Rika pulled a card from her case and slid it through her D-Arc. "Digi-Modify, Snowgumon's Frozen Wind," she shouted. Renamon felt the power of the card and instantly released a blast of cold air towards the flames. Slowly, Renamon's attack was being overpowered. Koronamon noticed this and went to help but was stopped when Renamon raised her hand. Koronamon looked back at Naruto as he nodded at his Digimon partner. Reluctantly, Koronamon listened and moved back from the fight. Renamon dug deep and pushed what power she could into the attack as the frozen wind overpowered the Dino Burst. When the attack stopped, Alomon was frozen solid. "Finish it, Renamon. Digi-Modify. Hyper Chip Activate," Rika yelled as she slashed the card. Enamon jumped into the air and crossed her arms over her chest as diamonds appeared around her. With a shout of, "Diamond Storm," she uncrossed her arms and peppered the frozen Dino with the attack. As she fell to the ground, she absorbed the data from the defeated Digimon. With Alomon defeated, the group of five headed back towards Rika's with Calamon riding on Koronamon's head laughing the whole way. The dinner that night went great in Naruto's opinion. Naruto enjoyed getting to know Rumiko and about her job. Naruto learned that Rumiko was a famous model and even made the older blonde blush by saying it was the perfect job for such a beautiful woman. Score 1 for Naruto. After dinner, Rumiko took Rika to her room to show her some of the new clothes that she had bought for her. After they left, Naruto turned to Seiko. Seiko-san, may I ask you a question? Naruto asked. Of course Naruto-kun, you can ask anything, replied the older woman. What happened between Rika-chan's parents? Aiko was definitely not expecting a question like that. I'm not really sure, Naruto-kun. There have been a few different reasons passed around as to why they split. This all happened before I started living with my daughter and granddaughter. However, he is still living here in Shinjuku somewhere. Seiko said. How do you know that, and if he is still here, why hasn't he been around for Rika-chan? Naruto asked with a bit of anger. I know he is still in Shinjuku because he has helped support Rika by sending me money for her ever since I moved in. He sends money in envelopes to me so Rika and Rumiko won't find out. As for why he hasn't been around for Rika, I honestly have no clue. Seiko explained. Naruto started to ask another question but was stopped as Rika and Rumiko returned to the kitchen. Naruto checked the time and with a quick goodbye to the three ladies and left for home with Koronamon and Calamon joining him a little ways down the road. That week after finding Calamon was hell for Naruto and Koronamon. Calamon had asked Naruto to play with him that night. Naruto explained that he had school the following day but that he promised to play with him after he got home each day. Naruto then realized that was where he made his mistake. Each day he got home and when he was fighting Digimon, he and Koronamon were playing with the little ball of energy. It was Friday evening and Naruto, Koronamon, and Calamon were in the park playing together. Well, more like Calamon and a clone of Naruto and Koronamon were playing. The original Naruto and Koronamon were laying on their back, gasping for air after playing with Calamon for the past 4 hours. Where the hell does he get all that energy? Naruto asked out loud. I don't know, but the next time you decide to promise the cream puff that you'll play with him. Leave me the hell out of it. Koronamon replied. What are you complaining about, Whiskers? Asked Rika as she walked up to the two laying on the ground. Naruto leaned up and saw Rika stop a little ways before him. He quickly scrambled over to her on all fours and took her hand in his, completely ignoring her blush. Rika-chan, you have to help us. Take the ball of energy away and give us a break. Please, Rika-chan, Naruto begged with anime tears. Rika's sweat dropped at his actions. What ball of energy? Rika asked. Naruto just pointed to where his and Koronamon's clones were still playing with Calamon. That ball of energy. We have been playing with him for the past 4 hours and he is still going like he just started. As Rika started to respond, they were surrounded by fog. A few minutes later, a giant black and yellow spider appeared in the trees. It had a large skull on the back side of its body with horns sticking out of its head. Naruto pulled out his D-Arc. Dokuguman. Champion level. His attacks are Poison Cobweb and Poison Thread. Koronamon, can you fight? Rika spoke before Koronamon could answer. This fight is mine, Whiskers. Go, Renamon. Renamon rushed up the tree that Dokuguman was in. She delivered a few powerful kicks to the top of Dokuguman, but the spider seemed unfazed by the attack. The spider turned to face her and shouted, Poison Cobweb. As it shot a stream of poison at Renamon. Renamon flipped over the attack and rushed Dokuguman once again. Her fist started to glow with blue flames. Before she could reach her target, she was stopped. Poison Thread. Dokuguman shouted as Renamon was wrapped in thread. Renamon, you have to break free. Rika shouted. Renamon tried her best to break free but nothing worked. Rika pulled a card from her case and grabbed her D-Arc. Digi-modify, Snimon's twin sickles activate. Renamon's arms turned into 2 giant sickles and she cut herself free. As soon as she broke free, she was hit with another blast of poison and sent flying to the ground. Rika watched as Renamon hit the ground with a loud thud. No one noticed Dokuguman turn his aim towards Rika. As the blast went soaring towards Rika, Renamon moved into front of her and took the blast full force, then fell to the ground. Rika stared at Renamon full of worry and sadness. Why, Renamon, why? Rika asked. Because we are partners, Rika, and I will always protect you with my life no matter what. Renamon replied. That took Rika by surprise. She always thought that Digimon were just data. They shouldn't be able to have feelings. But yet, Renamon had just proven her otherwise. Renamon, you can't leave me. You're my friend, I don't want to lose you. Renamon, Rika shouted. Just then a beam shot out of the red triangle F. Ram Kalamon's forehead and enveloped Renamon. Renamon digivolved to Kyubimon. When the light dies down, Renamon was no longer standing there. Now there was a large fox standing on all fours. She had yellow fur, except for a white mane, and her paws and tail tips were on fire. She had a large red and white ribbon around her neck with a yin-yang symbol on her forehead and at the top of each leg. Naruto was amused to see the newly digivolved nine-tailed fox, seeing as how he has one sealed in him. It was also hard to drown out the noises that his fox was making as he tried his best to get out of the cage. Kyubimon moved towards Dokuguman as the spider fired another shot of his web in the fox. Fox Tail Inferno. Kyubimon's 9 tails spread as small balls of flame appeared at the tips, then launched and burned all the web. The spider was surrounded by fire and had nowhere to go. This is for trying to hurt Rika. Dragon Wheel. Kyubimon shouted as she started to spin and be surrounded by blue flames. A dragon head rose out of the flames and slammed into Dokuguman, destroying the spider Digimon. She then turned and walked back to Rika and the others who had now joined her. How? Rika asked. Because you accepted me as one of your friends. After you finally realized the bond that we share, I was able to digivolve. When the bond between Tamer and Digimon is at its strongest, that is when we are able to digivolve. Kyubimon explained. Do me a favor, don't let anyone know, okay? Same goes for you, Whiskers. She said, turning to the blonde. And what do I get for keeping your secret? Asked Naruto. Maybe I'll let you take me out sometime. Rika replied with a blush as she and Kyubimon turned and began to walk off. Naruto stood there with a blush of his own. He was shocked to say the least. He went to say something, but all he did was open and close his mouth like a fish out of water. Thanks a lot, Rika, I think you broke him. Koronamon yelled, and Rika looked back with a laugh and a wave goodbye. Come on, lover boy, let's get you home, Koronamon said as he pulled Naruto by his wrist, with Kalamon settling on Naruto's head. Takato and Guilman were walking through Shinjuku. Takato was curious to see what people's reactions would be seeing Guilman. So far all anyone did was give the duo a few curious glances but then continue on their way. The only person who really stopped to look at Guilman was a young boy with his mother who was excited about seeing a Digimon. Whoa, is that a real Digimon? Asked the young boy. No, this is my friend and he is a really huge Digimon fan. This is just a costume that he made, replied Takato. Mom, can I get a Digimon costume too? The boy asked his mom. Not right now, dear, we have to get going, she said as she started leading the bow. Why away by his wrist as he waved goodbye. Takato and Guilman continued their walk without any more interruptions. That was until Guilman started to disappear. Takataman, I feel weird, Guilman said. When Takato turned around, his eyes widened in shock. The bottom half of Guilman's body was starting to disappear. Not waiting any longer to see if anything else would happen, Takato quickly pulled Guilman away. As they moved from the area that Guilman started to disappear, his body became whole again. Takato then took Guilman back to his hideout and decided to talk to the others and see if they knew what had happened. Takato called the other 3 tamers and they decided to all meet at Rika's, since that was where Naruto and Rika were currently at. Rika's house. The 4 tamers and their Digimon partners were at Rika's about an hour later. The Digimon were sitting on the roof to stay hidden while the teens were in the backyard discussing what happened. What do you mean he just started to disappear? Henry asked. We were just walking through Shinjuku and as we went by that tunnel that leads to the next city, the bottom half of Guilman just started to vanish. What could have caused it? Takato asked. Maybe Digimon can only last for so long in our world before they have to return to the digital world. Henry guessed. I doubt it, Henry. Renamon and Terriermon have been in our world for a lot longer than Guilman and nothing has happened to them yet. Rika said. Rika-chan is right. If what you are saying were true, Henry, then Renamon and Terriermon should started showing signs of vanishing first and yet they haven't. Maybe it was some type of interference in the digital field or something. Naruto said. I don't know, but I don't want to lose Guilman. It's starting to get late. I think I am gonna take Guilman back to the hideout and then head home, replied Takato. Zuchowman's castle. Zuchowman was looking down as he 2 faithful servants. He had decided to start his plans and keep the tamers from being able to provide any assistance to the upcoming fight with the chaos. He still believed that the 4 sovereigns were enough to stop the threat and protect the digital world. Go to the human world and stop those tamers. Do whatever you must to ensure they don't make it any farther than they have. Roared the sovereign. High Master. Both the hooded figure and Drachmon replied. As they headed out of the castle, the two stopped. Bring me Berdramon and Shiramon at once, said the hooded figure. Hi, was the only reply as Drachmon vanished into the shadows. A minute or so later he returned with 2 more Digimon waiting for orders. The figure made a digigate to the human world and motioned for the Digimon to follow. Human world. As Takato was walking Guilman back to the hideout, he got lost in thought and didn't realize that he was headed back towards the tunnel that he needed to avoid. He heard Guilman call out to him, but by the time he turned around Guilman was already gone. Takato started to panic and called up the others and they agreed to help look for the missing Dino. Naruto and Rika were the last to show up since Rika's house was the farthest away and Naruto was still there. Wouldn't it have made sense to avoid the same area that all this started at first? Asked Naruto. I know and I'm sorry, okay? Just please help me find him. Takato said just as his D-Arc showed a red dot on the screen. Figuring it was Guilman, they started to head into the tunnel. The other Digimon should probably stay away from this area for now. Naruto said. Go on home Terriermon. You should be better off there. Henry told his tamer. Keep your distance but stay close enough to hear me if I call. Rika said looking toward Renamon. Go with Renamon. Just stay out of sight. Naruto said. The 4 tamers waited till their partners were gone before they headed for the tunnel. They then made their way over the fence towards the entrance of the tunnel. Kit, grab the vixen. Kurama yelled. Naruto didn't ask why, he just grabbed a hold of Rika and pulled her back just as 2 fireballs landed where she had been. Thanks Kurama, I owe ya one. Naruto replied to the kitsune. The tamers looked in the direction the fireball had come from. Sitting perched on top of a building was a large bird that seemed to be on fire. It had sharp talons and teeth. Next to it was a Digimon that seemed to be dressed in a black ninja outfit with its face covered. The only visible part of its face were the bright yellow eyes. It seemed to have a large brown leaf over its shoulder with a large kunai on its back. Its limbs were a dark red color and were kinda like springs with a shuriken where its feet and hands should be. Koronamon, Renamon, Naruto and Rika Kaie out respectively and a few seconds later, their partners were back. Naruto pulled out his D-Arc as an image of the bird then the ninja appeared. Berdramon champion level and Shiramon armor level. Both have an arsenal of attacks on or known for their speed. I got this, Naruto said as he and Koronamon stepped forward. We got this Whiskers. You don't need to fight them 2-on-1. Renamon and I can help while Takato and Henry go look for Guilman. Rika said as she and Renamon joined Naruto and Koronamon. Thanks Rika-chan. You two hurry up and go find Guilman, we can handle things here. Naruto said as he faced the 2 Digimon once again. Takato and Henry nodded as they turned and ran down the tunnel hoping to find some sign of Guilman. The 2 tamers and being running down the tunnel. For about 5 minutes when they came upon an area covered in fog. Takato checked his D-Arc and saw it was pointing into the fog. They slipped on their goggles and sunglasses and headed into the fog. Hypno's Tower. Sir, a strange data field just appeared. There is no bio-emerging Digimon that we can locate at this time. Riley reported to her boss. The blonde man stood there opening and closing his lighter as he stared at the screen of the supercomputer. Activate Yuggoth immediately Riley. But sir, that program is unauthorized for use. We have no idea what it will do. Replied Riley with a bit of panic in her voice. Just do it and do it now Riley. Yelled Yamaki. Yamaki watched as Riley activated the program and the digital zone was deleted. With Takato and Henry, the 2 tamers Fu, ND Guilman trapped in what they assumed to be the middle of the digital zone. They started making their way toward Guilman as the area they were in seemed to begin falling apart. We won't make it in time. Takato shouted as he tried to move faster toward his partner. Henry came up beside him and grabbed his wrist. He then started to spin a few times and then released Takato's wrist sending the boy flying toward Guilman. Takato reached Guilman and started breaking him free of his bindings. Thank you Takatoman, Guilman said as he hugged his tamer. We can celebrate later you two, we gotta get out of here. This place is coming apart. Henry said. Suddenly a red beam shot out from Gilman and he and the tamers landed on it. The trio then began running along the newly made road and managed to escape just before the fog disappeared. They then headed back out of the tunnel to regroup with Rika and Naruto. So, which one do you want, Whiskers? Rika asked. Koronamon and I will take Shiramon. Should be fun to face a fellow ninja. Naruto replied. Rika nodded as she and Renamon moved towards Birdramon, who had taken flight away from Shiramon. Walk all over him, Renamon. Hi Rika. Renamon replied as she made her way to the roof. Renamon ran towards Birdramon and as she neared the edge, she jumped through the air as her paw was covered in blue flames. Power Paw. Renamon cried out as she landed a hit to the bird's wing. The attack however did little damage to the larger bird. Meteor Wing. Cried Birdramon as he shot small flaming meteors from his wings. Ch struck Renamon as she was falling back to the rooftop. Renamon. Rika yelled as she pulled a card from her holder and grabbed her D-Arc. Digi-Modify, Digivolution Activate. Renamon Digivolve 2. Renamon was surrounded by a digital egg. Once the egg broke apart, it revealed the now digivolved Kyubimon. Birdramon was shocked at first but soon got over it. Fire Flapping. Birdramon Cree. Ed as he began flapping his wings and shot out a steady stream of fire towards Kyubimon. Kyubimon's speed made it easier to dodge Birdramon's attacks. She ran back up the building as her 9 tails stuck out and the tips caught on fire. Fox Tail Inferno. The fireballs flew toward Birdramon and hit the large bird in the chest, this time causing him to let out a cry of pain. Kyubimon kept up the attack by jumping into the air above Birdramon. Dragon Wheel. Kyubimon shouted as she began to spin and was covered in blue flames. A large dragon flew down at Birdramon and hit him in the back, sending him flying into the ground below. A dust cloud rose as Birdramon hit, blocking Kyubimon's view of the bird. Phoenix Rising. Was all Kyubimon heard as she saw Birdramon fly up towards her with a trail of smoke and fire behind him. Kyubimon managed to roll in the air and avoid the attack but couldn't see where he had went because of the smoke. Mock Grinder. Birdramon yelled as he dove in and out of the smoke, striking Kyubimon with his talons and wings. Kyubimon tried to dodge the attacks but between the smoke and Birdramon's speed, she was unable to do so. Birdramon's final attack made Kyubimon collapse and the smoke blew away. Rika saw the state Kyubimon was in and began to rush to her partner's side. Birdramon smirked when he saw this and launched another attack. Meteor Wing. Birder. Amon yelled as he launched meteors toward Rika and her partner. Kyubimon saw the attack coming and did all she could to keep Rika safe. She jumped in front of Rika and took the attack full force in the back. The small explosion sent Rika and Kyubimon both flying. Naruto's fight. You ready, Koronamon? Naruto asked his partner. Ready when you are. Koronamon replied. Go get him then, Naruto said. As Koronamon ran toward the ninja-like Digimon. Koronamon jumped toward Shiramon and started attacking the Digimon with punches and kicks. Shiramon wasn't expecting Koronamon to be this quick, so Koronamon managed to land a few hits here and there. Once Shiramon got over his moment of shock, she was able to outspeed the small lion Digimon and landed a hit that sent him flying back a ways. Double stars. Shiramon shouted as his limbs stretched towards Koronamon while the shuriken started spinning. Digi-Modify, Power Activate. Naruto shouted just before the attack hit Koronamon. Koronamon grabbed the attack between his hands. As the attack stopped spinning, Koronamon grabbed Shuramon's limbs and pulled him over his head and slammed Shiramon into the ground. Shiramon was quick to recover and launched another attack. Kusanagi. Shiramon yelled as he threw the large shuriken on his back. Digi-Modify, Speed Activate. Koronamon easily avoided the attack with the burst of speed and rush. Ed Shiramon and his knuckles were surrounded by flames. Corona Knuckle. Koronamon shouted as he launched multiple punches at Shuramon's body, pushing him back in the process. Shiramon ducked under of Koronamon's punches and wrapped his arms around Koronamon and jumped high into the air. Nauden Sakautoshi. Shiramon shouted as he began to spin with Koronamon as they plummeted headfirst into the ground. Naruto saw this and quickly pulled another card from his holder. Digi-Modify, Rock Armor Activate. Kurinaman's body instantly was covered in rock just as the two Digimon slammed into the ground. Kuronamon didn't feel the full effect of the attack, but he felt enough to make his head spin. He stumbled out of the crater Shuramon's attack created. Shuramon quickly began his assault again. Ninja Wind. Shuramon shouted as his body transformed into a hurricane of leaves and surrounded Kuronamon. Kuronamon was assaulted with sharp leaves and shuriken, and Shuramon disappeared and reappeared before Kuronamon could attack. Petite prominence. Kuronamon said as his body became surrounded in flames and he tried to withstand Shuramon's relentless assault. Naruto used a few modify cards B. Kuronamon was unable to break free from the hurricane. Shuramon stopped his ninja wind and kicked Kuronamon in the gut, sending him flying back, and he landed by Naruto. Kuronamon, are you okay? Naruto asked as he looked over his partner. I'm fine. Kuronamon replied with a pained voice. All of a sudden, they both heard an explosion. As they looked in the direction the explosion came from, they saw Rika and Renaman land against one of the buildings. Rika-chan, Rina-chan. Naruto and Kuronamon both yelled respectively as they ran towards the two females. They looked them over to make sure they were both okay. Other than being unconscious and a few scrapes and bruises, they were both fine as far as Naruto and Kuronamon could tell. Naruto ran through a few hand signs and his began glowing green. Naruto silently thanked Tsunade for teaching him the mystical palm technique. He passed his hands over both females, healing the scrapes and what bruises he could. There were still a few bruises, but they were only small ones. After Naruto was done healing Rika and Renaman, he and Kuronamon turned to face Birdramon and Shuramon. Kuronamon surrounded himself in flames and Naruto's eye turned a deep crimson red. Just then Takato, Henry, and Guilman came out of the tunnel. A few seconds later Terriermon jumped the fence and landed on Henry's head. What happened here? Asked Terriermon. I don't know. We just got back here ourselves. Where were you at while all this was happening? Henry asked. You told me to go home earlier. I can only move so fast on this short legs, ya know. Replied Terriermon. Guys, the arguing can wait for later. We need to help. Takato cut in. No, this two are ours. They hurt Rika and Renaman and now they will pay for it. Naruto growled out. Just stay here, and make sure Rika and Renaman are protected. You ready, Kuronamon? Naruto asked the pissed-off lion Digimon. Let's make these bastards pay. Kuronamon replied as he and Naruto bumped fists. No one's. Calamon hiding in a tree a few feet away. A small smile appeared on Calamon's face as the triangle on his forehead shot out a red beam that surrounded Kuronamon. Kuronamon digivolved too. When the light died down, Kuronamon was no longer standing there. Instead it was a large lion with wings and sharp teeth and claws. His mane grew longer and a small device with a flame in the middle was on each of his ankles with one at the top of each hind leg. His headpiece and also expanded to cover the top of his whole head now. Faraman. Takato pulled out his D-Arc as an image of the new Digimon appeared. Faraman, Kurinaman's champion form. His gained flight and speed through Digivolution. His attacks are Flame Dive, Fira Claw, and Fira Bomb. You digivolved, that's amazing. Now let's show them the new power of yours. Naruto said as he climbed on Faraman's back. Faraman took off at incredible speed through the air towards Birdramon. Fira Claw. Faraman's front legs were surrounded by flames as he sped toward Birdramon. Birdramon was unable to dodge the attack and ended up with two large cuts in his chest. Faraman circled around and focused his power into his headpiece. Fira Bomb. Allah. RGE Flame Bomb was launched through the air at Birdramon, who hadn't recovered from the previous attack. When Faraman's attack hit the large bird, it immediately burst into data particles. Naruto then jumped off of Faraman's back as he began channeling chakra into his hand, creating his Rasengan. Faraman's body was enveloped in flames as he dove towards Shuramon in a burst of speed. Flame Dive. Phi. Ramon shouted as he made contact with Shuramon. As soon as Faraman moved out of the way, Naruto fell from the sky and drove his Rasengan into Shuramon's stomach. Why did you two attack us? Naruto asked. As Faraman landed next to him in front of Shuramon. We were ordered to by our master. Shuramon said as his body flickered in and out of existence. Who the hell is your master? Roared Faraman. His name is, Shuramon started. Shadow Ball. was heard as a black ball of energy flew into Shiramon as he exploded into data. All the tamers and their partners looked for the attacker and found a hooded figure and a small black Digimon standing on the roof of a nearby building. Kit, there is something familiar about this person. I can sense chakra within their body, evil chakra. Kurama said in Naruto's mind. Yeah, I sense it too. But I don't see how unless somehow someone followed us through the rift. Naruto replied to the Biju. Whatever you do, you need to get the others out of here first. I have a bad feeling this is going to turn ugly. Kurama said. Who the hell are you and why did you do that? Naruto yelled. He was saying too much so he needed to be silenced. He hurts that you don't remember your best friend Dobi. Replied the figure with a chuckle. Naruto's eyes widen at the last part. Sasuke. How are you here? You were unconscious when I got pulled through the rift. Quote. Actually I wasn't completely unconscious. Sasuke replied. Flashback. Sasuke lay on his back slipping in and out of consciousness. He had just lost to Naruto and now he saw a small rift open above Naruto. He watched as Naruto was sucked through the rift. Sasuke didn't want their fight to end like this. He wanted to end the blonde Dobi's life personally. Using the last bit of chakra Hiskid, he activated his Rinnegan and teleported through the rift, hopefully following the Dobi wherever he went. As he passed through the rift, he lost consciousness completely and blacked out. When he awoke he was in a dimly lit room. He looked around and only saw the bed he was laying on and a door to his room. He walked over and opened it, and as he walked out he was stopped by a monkey-looking creature. Who are you? Sasuke asked. I am Makuramon. Follow me, said Makuramon as he turned and walked off. Sasuke followed the monkey and found himself in a large room with a very large bird-looking creature. I am Zuchouman, Digimon Sovereign of the South, replied the large bird. What are Digimon? Sasuke asked. Zuchouman went on to explain where Sasuke was at and what Digimon were. Sasuke was surprised when he found out that Naruto was in the same universe. After the Sovereign told him that he could destroy the blonde ninja if he joined, Sasuke didn't even think twice about saying yes. He would get the chance to destroy the Dobi once and for all, and even those who decided to get in way. Flashback end. By now, Rika and Renneman had regained consciousness and had heard Sasuke's explanation of why he was there. All four tamer were shocked but for different reasons. Takato and Henry because they hadn't been told about Naruto being from a different universe. Rika because she was surprised that there was someone else like Naruto. And Naruto because he thought Sasuke had died back at the Valley of the End and now he joined with Zuchouman. So here I am with the chance to end you once and for all, but I think I will start with the red-haired girl you care so much for. Sasuke said. Naruto was extremely pissed now. You could mess with him all you wanted, but when you threatened his friends, especially when he really cared a lot for a certain redhead, you were as good as dead. You won't touch Rika-chan, you son of a bitch. Naruto growled out. Naruto knew this wouldn't turn out good, and that he had to get everyone away from Sasuke before he hurt them. All of a sudden, a large blue ribcage formed around Sasuke and a large arm appeared with a sword. The sword was swung toward the group of tamers. Let's go Kurama, Naruto said as he was soon in his Kyuubi Sage mode. Right before the sword hit the tamers, a large orange fox arm stopped the attack. Naruto then made 3 clones. Without the hand seals thanks to his training. Get them out of here now. He ordered the clones. You can't take them on yourself, Whiskers. Let's us help. Rika said. No Rika. You and the others need to get out of here now. I am the only one who can handle this. Naruto replied. Rika started to protest some more, but all of a sudden, her and the other were standing in an apartment which they assumed belonged to Naruto. One of the clones made sure there was no one around before he looked at the tamers. Each one of will make sure you all get home safely. We have some questions first. Henry said. There is no time for that. Just let us take you home and we can all meet tomorrow and explain everything. One of the clones replied. They knew it was the best they would get, so they just did what they were told. A clone each left with Takato and Gilman and Henry and Terriermon. Soon it was just a clone, Rika, and Renneman. I ain't going anywhere until you explain things to me, Whiskers. Rika said as she crossed her arms. Then you will have to wait till the original Naruto returns. I'm just a clone. Just call your Ka-chan and Ba-chan and let them know where you are at so they don't worry, and then just stay here. I am going to go keep watch. The clone replied. Rika called her mother and let her know she was gonna stay at Naruto's that night because they were hanging out and it had gotten late. After a long, embarrassing discussion of making sure they didn't do anything they were not ready for and making sure if they did that they had protection, Rika got her mother's approval to stay with Naruto. Now why did you do that, Dobi? I was just gonna have some fun with your friends. Sasuke said with a laugh. You won't ever hurt the people I care about, Sasuke. If you so much as lay a finger on any of them, I end you permanently. Naruto replied. Dracmon fired another shadow ball at Furaman, but thanks to his new speed, the small Digimon was no challenge for the large lion. Now it was 2-on-1. Even though Sasuke had his Rinnegan and Susanoo, even he knew he couldn't beat the Dobi when the numbers were stacked against him. He picked up the unconscious Dracmon and appeared into a Digi-Gate back to the digital world. Naruto then teleported him and Koronamon. Luckily he didn't have any problems digivolving from Furaman back to their apartment. Naruto got the memories from the two clones that were with Takato and Henry and went ahead and dispelled the one that was with Rika. He knew Rika wanted answers, so he set her down on the couch, with Renamon and Koronamon listening in as well. And explained everything from who Sasuke was to how much more of a problem he would cause. By the end of their discussion, Rika could hardly stay awake. She laid down with her head in Naruto's lap, which caused the blonde ninja to blush. Come on, Rika-chan, I gotta get you home. Already called home. Told them I'm spending the night because it is late. Rika replied, trying to stay awake. You two can have the beds. I'll stay out here with Rika-chan. Naruto told Koronamon and Renamon. Koronamon led Renamon down the hall and showed her the bedroom. As soon as the two Digimon laid down, they immediately fell asleep. Naruto got as comfortable as he could with Rika laying in his lap. As he started to fall asleep, Rika spoke up. Promise you'll keep me safe. Rika said, half asleep. I promise I will always keep you safe. Naruto replied. With that said, Rika nuzzled in closer to Naruto and started to drift off to sleep. Good night, Naruto-kun. If Rika would have been looking up at Naruto, she would have seen a very red-faced Naruto. He honestly was expecting the suffix on his name to come from Rika. The more he thought about it, the more he couldn't help but smile. Good night, Rika-chan, Naruto said before letting sleep overtake him. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.